Hello, my name is Amber Lee Montgomery. As many of you know, this is my father, Grandmaster Johnny Lee of Lee's White Leopard Kung Fu School here in Dallas, Texas. And we thought you would like to know about Master Lee's Kung Fu training, growing up as a young boy in Shanghai, all the way to his headquarters here in Dallas, Texas. It's a little bit of history for you and let you know your Kung Fu and Tai Chi family lineage and where you came from. So Dad, tell us how, as a young boy in Shanghai, how old were you when you became interested in Kung Fu?
See, that is early 1950s, of and late 40s, So at that time, there have no TVs, no radios, no computer playing. So we mostly, as a kid, and we mostly play at our neighbors. And it's very safe, kid running around, playing neighbors with the neighborhood kids. And then I remember that maybe around 10 or 9 or 10, I start walking to school by myself. So we walking from neighborhood to neighborhood schools, and so on the way there we have passed a Fuxing Gongyun, and at that time we call French Park, because that's before the Chinese 1949s, and that is French possession or something like that. It's not really colony, but the area. So they're influenced by French, so the French part. So I walked from my house to school, and the school next to a Catholic church. And before walking there, we had passed a big park. But every morning, people at that time already practiced the Tai Chis, walking around in the park. And one entrance of the park, they're doing Kung Fu, not Tai Chi. And I always watch them. And the old master teaching, they got several young people and some kids. And most interesting for me is a little kid about my age, 9, 10, at that time I'm 11, 10 or 11, and sparring with the kids, 13, 14, and he win all the time. So every time he passes, I'm watching, really careful. So great. Little kids my age can be at the teenager. So it's so much fun. I love it. Sometimes after work, I had watching too long, I had to run back to the school, late for
so you won't be late, late to school.
Yeah. And also, besides that, they got street performers, They got street performers, they're performing Kung Fu and sell medicines, Sometimes they got performance in the holidays, they got wrestlers, and they got people breaks, everything. So interesting for young boys like me at that time. And also we are fighting each other, pretending we're doing the Kung Fu we saw.
So you can imitate it.
Yeah, imitate them. I think I'm winning most of the time. That's how I started before I really learned Kung Fu. I think it's 1957 or something like that. And our family moved to Hong Kong. At that time, about 12 years old, I think. And so we moved to Hong Kong. I go to schools, and I got a classmate. He doing Kung Fu. So I don't know what kind of Kung Fu he's doing, but he willing to teach. Finally, I met somebody know Kung Fu, but the same age as me, and willing to teach. So later I find out there's a Hong Kong Tiger Claw Kung Fu. Then I practiced with him for almost one semester. So one day he's showing something different, because you know Hong Kong Southern Kung Fu, you really just an angular movement forward, no turning around jumping. One day he just do do kung fu jumping around and turning 360 degrees in the air. So I said, wow, that's something I never saw. And I asked him, can you teach me? Oh, that's this Shaolin Kung Fu, Northern Shaolin. And I just learned, I cannot teach you. So I want to learn that, can you help me? So he took me to see his teacher. And the teacher, just like actually he teach in the South China Athletic Association, a soccer ball association, big one, got track and field, things like that. And our school is opposite of that South China Athletic Association. So we do our PE class over there. So he took me there. I see Grandmaster Yu Ting, and lucky I see him. And Yu Ting already 60 something. You see, and that is 1957, 58. Yu Ting already 60 something. So you can see. Actually, later on find out Master Yu Ting is born in 1885, 1890 ages.
Wow.
And he learned from his family and find out the style of the Kung Fu I learned from him is called Michong Lohong, the lost track Lohong schools. It's kind of from his family in Chongqing and outside the Beijing. And he learned from his family. And that person from before we think for his uncle, actually reverse. Master Yi's uncle. His teacher is his nephew. But in rural China, he's a little kid, and the nephew is an older man, you know. So that happens with the family, you know.
Right.
So that's what we find out later. But anyway, it's good, and a little family tradition. And Master start teaching. He's Major Lohong helped teaching in the village when 16 years old. And when 18 years old, his old nephew, his sifu, his teacher, and tell him he can go to working for the Ever Victory 标决, which means just like Wells Fargo things, like Americans and cowboy ones on
right.
and finger west, you know, protect the merchants, and he do that. And actually, I heard about it. And his first trip to Manchuria had to cross Great Walls, you know, from Beijing, move the thing, protect the thing. Actually, in one area, you know, nobody there, no government, no city, they're passing the mountains, you know. They were attacked by 20 those banditos, and he beat them.
Wow.
And he started getting famous.
Wow.
But later on, when he's 20 something, and China changed, not change during something that is the changing of the dynasty to national Chinese government, and so he go to Beijing. At first, he worked in the Beijing, the Zhoumen Didu, the governor, the military governor of 9 gates, just like a military force to protect the emperors, and he's the chief kung fu instructor for those special armies. Then a few years later, it changed. So they no more Manchurian emperors, you know, and his boss moved to the Manchuria and for the warlords, and that's China's warlord. And one of the famous warlord in Manchuria, you know, he worked for them, and for 7 years, he got promoted 7 times. That's why I remember older generation told us. And but when he working there, then after 7 years, his mom passed away. So Chinese tradition, your sons, mom passed away, a parent passed away, you had to go back to the village, stay, take care of the grave, you know, for 3 years.
Oh.
Yeah, for funeral with this tradition too, for your funeral piety and respect and thinking by your parents. Then